And so the comparisons to Mike Logan's Super Steelers of 2005 come to an end. One and done. Mike, where was Kimo von Oelhoffen Saturday night?
I'm pretty sure Kimo's doing a business deal somewhere, maybe abroad, but it came to a crashing halt. And what's kind of funny about that is I woke up that morning on Saturday morning and I just felt something in the air. It just wasn't right. So I sent a text out to our producer, Mike Barker, and said, I need to change my pick and pork selection because it just felt wrong. So, and it came to fruition. Guy
Junker, when did it start to feel wrong game time?
Well, I picked against him on Friday, but that was more because I thought it was going to be a field goal game, and 3.5 was too many points, regardless of which team won. I just think, you can say all you want about next man up. Le'Veon Bell was just too much of a part of this offense. I'm not blaming the entire game on him. A couple of games this year, most games are decided in the trenches. You look at the splash plays, you look at a 74-yard touchdown catch or a pick six, and those are the plays that everybody remembers. But they got beaten at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. They could not get pressure on Flacco, and they could not protect Roethlisberger. And to me, that's the simplest reason to say why they lost. Now, how much did Le'Veon Bell not being in there hurt their pass protection, not just in that he's a pretty good little chipper back there, but in the fact that he's the perfect safety valve. I think the play they missed him the most on was the Suggs interception. Now, maybe the game's already lost there. Tate let that ball go through his hands. He admitted he didn't go to the right spot. He was supposed to be on the field. That could be a play that Bell turns into 35 yards, and then instead it turns into an interception.
Yeah, I agree with you, Guy. That's the biggest shock for me, Mike, is the Steelers' O-line. They got really handled in pass protection, and I thought this was the best line since that 05 team you played on that went to the Super Bowl. But they had problems against Dean Peay's defense.
And that was the concerning part going into the game defensively, was how were they going to be able to contain the D-line from the Baltimore Ravens? Guys they know very well, but guys who also are going to step their game up, their gameplay up on that particular day because they're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers and they have a good feel for them. And they didn't answer the bell at all in that game against the Baltimore Ravens. They kind of had their way with them. And it was, guys just getting beat one-on-one. So they have to look at themselves in the mirror and accept that responsibility that they were able to get beat so badly by the Baltimore Ravens pass rush.
Yeah, beat both by one-on-one and some scheme, too, where guys were coming loose. Well,
and I'll say this, too, Ken. If I'm New England, I'm a slight bit nervous about that. They've won 2 of the 3 playoff games they've played in Foxborough. The Ravens have won. And I think the big reason why they've won, Brady is a very well-protected quarterback. Oh, no, every quarterback is worse when he's pressured. But I think he's a guy that is so used to having great protection that their pass rush is the main reason why they've gone up there and they're not intimidated to play in New England. So I don't know if Baltimore can put the points up to stay with them over the course of a game. But I'd be a little bit more nervous if I'm New England if I was playing somebody else other than Baltimore.
Well, Mike, safety play. Troy Polamalu. You handed the baton off to Troy. Groomed him in the league his rookie year. What do you see as far as his future and a lot of the other old guys on that defense?
Well, when it comes specifically to Troy, we know that he's going to take care of himself, in the offseason as far as his training ritual goes. Some people have a problem with that because it doesn't involve a lot of real weight training. But he's a guy who's always going to be in shape. He's going to make sure that he takes care of his body by the foods that he eats and the waters that he drinks. But, you do get to a point in your career once you get older when you realize, okay, do I want to tarnish what I've established by going out on my play on a lesser note? And that was one of the things that really hit home with me. I knew it was time because the decline in my play, I can feel it. I knew that I was a step slower. I definitely wasn't able to recover as fast as I was when I was younger in the league. So those are all the things that Troy is going to have to consider in this offseason. And his family is starting to, get a little older now. His kids are starting to get older. His wife probably wants to start spending more intimate time with him and things of that nature. So we'll see what happens with Troy. I still think that he has some football left in him, some quality football left in him. But it may be in a different capacity. Will he be able to accept that role of maybe not being a starter and maybe coming in on some of the sub packages after being perhaps one of the best safeties to ever play for the Pittsburgh Steelers? So that's something that he has to consider, and it's a different mindset. So we'll see what happens with Troy. The safeties, the defensive backs as a unit for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they definitely have some work to do. They were trying to groom some of those young guys to come in and start filling those roles as starters. And we thought for a couple weeks that it was going to happen, but they were exposed a little bit in this game. So they have some real decisions to make, and I think that is going to be contingent on what Troy Polamalu, as well as our colleague and co-worker here at TribLIVE Media, Ike Taylor.
Yeah. Feels like the end of an era, or actually, Guy, feels kind of like a 3-year swing of an end of an era, doesn't it? It's been a slow phasing out of a lot of the old guys and into some new.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Kiesel and Harrison came back last year, there's 2 more guys now that you maybe had thought you said goodbye to already, and you're going to have to say goodbye to them again. I could see Harrison coming back over Kiesel. I could see Polamalu coming back over Ike Taylor. I don't expect to see Ike or Kiesel back. Harrison, I think, if James were really honest, I wonder if he's even surprised at how well he played himself. If he's sitting there, then unless he's really hurting and doesn't want to go through what it takes to get ready for another season, I think he can still play. And I think Polamalu, if he wanted to play, could still play, but not at the level that he once did. And as Mike said, how much does that matter to him? He's a guy that has so much else going on in his life. I don't think he has to hang on to football to be happy or for fulfilled. And from what I've read, from what his wife has said, with all his concussions and everything, I think she wishes he would retire. But those are all the questions we have going forward. I think the good thing is, and let's look. I was looking up yesterday, Mike. 2 cities in the United States sent a team to the Stanley Cup playoffs, the Major League Baseball playoffs, and the NFL playoffs. Pittsburgh and Detroit. No championships in either city. In fact, I texted our former colleague yesterday, Justin Rose. I said, and you were part of both of them, because he's now working in Detroit. So, it was actually a very good year, and I think the Steelers did make a step forward after 2 lackluster 8-8 seasons, and some young guys have come on. Now they need to have a strong draft and put together a better team next year than they had this year, and we'll be back more to what we are used to seeing.